Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet. The Indian government is weighing its response to the Pahalgam terror attack, with Prime Minister Modi affirming the nation's resolve to deal a crushing blow to terrorism. The Prime Minister chaired a high-level security meeting on the 29th of April in wake of the deadly attack that left 26 people dead. The meeting was attended by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, the Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan, alongside the chiefs of the three armed services. As India assesses the response options open to it, sources have quoted the Prime Minister as giving full operational freedom to the armed forces to decide on the mode, the targets and the timing of this response. As the Prime Minister asserted his confidence in the armed forces, is it now time to give a definitive response to Pakistan's state-sponsored terrorism, is what we discuss in the next half an hour. Air Vice Marshal Kapil Kak, defence expert, with us on the program. Major General G.G. Dwivedi, defence expert, also joins us on the show. Commodore Anil Jay Singh, defence expert, also with us on the show. Last but not the least, Major General Sudhakar G, geopolitical and strategic and defence expert, with us on the program as well. General Dwivedi, I will begin with you. Well, this is something which is, of course, the Prime Minister and this government has instituted in the past as well. When it comes to dealing with Pakistan, when it comes to asserting our force in teaching Pakistan a lesson, it is important to give the armed forces a free hand. But there has been conversation, sir, that has been going on in the echelons of security, that Pakistan is too weak to endure any kind of an attack by India for more than a couple of days. Hence, they might play dirty. And when you talk about playing dirty, you obviously think about tactical nuclear weapons. Apart from the United States, Russia and China, Pakistan is perhaps the fourth country to have these tactical weapons. How do you see this entire paradigm narrowing down in India's favor when the enemy at hand and the enemy across the border has no scruples, has no morals?
Absolutely. I think what you have stated is very right. That Pakistan as a nation doesn't have any moral, no scruples. They have always lent themselves to be used, abused, and misused by the people who want them to, like America, now China. So, plus, their doctrine is based on the, uh, what we call the proxy war. So, I think at this time, Vineet, three things need to be understood very correctly. First of all, you brought out that today the armed forces have a free hand. Well, in tactical terms, they always have a free hand, and we have all operated on the line of control multiple times. But today, when Prime Minister says we have a free hand, means that you can raise the level, you can escalate, you can select the targets, which could be in depth. You can also, use more intense weapons. And so that means that we now would see very shortly that thresholds being crossed from the normal routine kind of firing that goes on. The second very important issue, Vineet, is that Pakistan has always been calling the nuclear bogey, and their this bluff have been exposed on number of occasions, even in 1999 and later on in Balakot. They just couldn't do very much. The third point is Pakistan Army, as I have seen, fought them in 1971 and also on the line of control, that they always have a shield. In 1971, they used Razakars. Now they are using the terrorists as the frontline soldiers. So I can say that response this time is not going to be just rap on the knuckles. No. It's not going to be one-odd strike. No. It is going to be a very overwhelming response. And that's why the government is deliberating, and you see the plans take time to mature. And this is where the plans are being reviewed, refined, and complete audit is taken as to what will be our reaction, what will be enemy reaction. So that's why I think the time is being taken. The second very important point is that we have to choose our own time and place, because you never strike where the enemy is prepared. You never strike when the enemy is expecting. So therefore, the time and place will be on choosing. And the third very important point is that we need to break the will of Pakistan army to fight a proxy war. That should be our intent and that should be our aim. So that means that we need to hurt Pakistan Army right at the moment. They are having a free pass since 2003. There is a ceasefire agreement which happened will violated at will by Pakistan, and in 2021 it has renewed again. So they were not getting punished. So we couldn't take punitive action. So now is the time that we need to go hammer and tongue and get the Pakistani army into the ring, because so far they are only bureaucracy. And my last point is, this is a nation's war. It's not only security forces. We have to use all instruments of power that are available to bring Pakistan on its knees. That means economical, diplomatic means they have already been instituted, slew of measures have been instituted, and now is the time to give a kinetic response. And I'm sure it will be overwhelming, it will be substantial, and it will be impactful, so that Pakistan bends its ways and its government also feel the pinch. Vinit.
Commodore Singh, let me in fact put my thoughts and my question together to you, sir. I hope you can hear me. Commodore Singh, I hope you can hear me, sir. So please unmute yourself.
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Yes.
All right. So today the world knows that the reason why North Korea has, intentions to go nuclear is because of Pakistan. The world also knows that Iran wants to go nuclear, and it has footprints of Pakistan there as well. And when it comes to diplomacy, India does its diplomacy by, apprising the world that, look, this is the proof that we have, and this is how we're going to act against Pakistan. Either you're with us or you're against us. But Pakistan's diplomacy is in fact the exact opposite of what India does. Pakistan does the Katora diplomacy. It goes to countries and tells them that, look, if anything untoward happens, will you back us? That's exactly what the difference is between India and Pakistan. And here you have a Prime Minister who's saying that he has full faith in his armed forces. He has complete faith, and there is complete autonomy given to the armed forces. But you cannot envisage such a scenario in Pakistan, where the Prime Minister himself reports to General Munir. This is exactly why India has the upper hand over here, sir. Am I right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. I don't think in any stable political system, the military should be overriding the civilian overall political control of the country. Yes, the armed forces can be given, as our Prime Minister said, a free hand, but that free hand doesn't mean that they go rogue. It means that within the accepted parameters of a stable governance system, we decide how we want to do it, when we want to do it. We are the bigger power. As General Dwivedi said, we will go in at a time and place of our choosing, and we will decide how far the escalatory ladder can be taken. So all those are the kind of things that we've been given a free hand to do. We've not been given a free hand to override the Prime Minister or override anybody. And that's the fundamental difference between India and Pakistan. Pakistan, we've always seen over the last 75 years, whenever the army's been on the back foot within the country, as they are at the moment because of all the other issues that they're having within the country, they have always tried to divert attention by, initiating some sort of aggression against India. That they have come to a sorry end each and every time doesn't seem to permeate the Pakistani, the senior brass. But the fact of the matter is that for them, this is a convenient ploy to divert attention from their internal travails. And at the moment, we all know that with what's happening in Balochistan, in Afghanistan, the terrorism, the Pakistani army's high-handedness, at the moment, their popularity in their own country is at a very low ebb. And so they would be looking for some sort of diversion to take attention away. Secondly, Pakistan is finding itself increasingly isolated internationally. People counted as allies like the US. Now, Vice President Vance was in India when this attack happened. Obviously, Pakistan can't expect sympathy from the US for doing what it did. Our Prime Minister was in Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia was considered the bulwark of Pakistan's Islamic rhetoric. That Islamic bomb, Islamic this, Islamic that, and Saudi Arabia was supposed to be this steadfast partner. Saudi Arabia has also started now sort of aligning more towards India than to Pakistan, obviously, because that's where it sees progress, that's where it sees development, that's where it sees stability. So Pakistan has to sooner rather than later mend its ways. Otherwise, it's going to come to more and more grief as time passes. We all, and, when we were young officers, we were brought up to believe that the Pakistani military, for all its other issues, is a professional military. They will fight professionally. They've come down. They've got the same sort of pedigree as the Indian armed forces have. But obviously, we've seen a lot of change happening in the last 25, 30 years, and now we're not very sure of where their sort of, I wouldn't say where their loyalties lie, but where priorities lie. Are they as selfless as the Indian armed forces are? Are they as committed to defending the motherland as the Indian armed forces are? So there are weaknesses in the Pakistan army. The leadership has done nothing to sort of, alleviate their own sort of concerns. So I think overall, it's not only the military conventional superiority that India has, it is also the moral ascendancy, whether political or diplomatic or for that matter human. That also is a major factor when it comes to this kind of a confrontation. And that's where I think India has a much greater upper hand, both internationally. We've seen that the world is with us on this. World is not with Pakistan on this. Most countries have pledged, have criticized the attack. They've said there is no place for terrorism in this world, including some people who Pakistan would not have expected should say that, have also said that. So I think overall we've got the upper hand across the board, whether it's political, diplomatic, economic, military, in every respect. So it's perhaps the right time that we exercise that sort of upper hand that we have and try and create a response which actually teaches a lesson to Pakistan. Now, I do not know what that response will be. Our generals, our air marshals, our admirals are fully aware of the situation. They know exactly how far we can take it, what all we can do. This bogey of the tactical nuclear weapon that Pakistan keeps throwing at us. Yes, it is a threat, but I find it difficult to believe that even a country which gets so emotional about these things like Pakistan will actually cross that very critical threshold, that Rubicon of resorting to a nuclear attack, because they do not know what the retaliation will be. Even if it is a tactical nuclear weapon aimed at a platform at sea, which causes no civilian casualties, which causes no civilian damage. And Pakistan has always been assuming that, if they can do that, then, international pressure will restrain India from delivering a massive retaliation.
Right.
But they can't count on that, particularly in the present mood that's prevailing in the region. So I think they will be very careful about it. It's all very well. We've been hearing Pakistan talk about the nuclear bomb for the last 3 decades, about it's not meant to be kept in show windows and it's meant to be used and all that. But whether they will go down the extra step. And secondly, what do they expect to get with that tactical nuclear weapon? A carrier, armored formation, an air base. They obviously are not looking at a city or a civilian concentrated place. So let's see. But I don't think that they will go down that route. Perhaps if they are smart, they will sort of take a step back now and see if they can, reduce the Indian sort of anger at them by various other more subtle means through international diplomacy, etc. Right. Otherwise, they are in for a tough time in the near future.
All right. General Sudhakarji is also with us. General Sudhakarji, Pakistani army may be professional, but let's not forget that it is an army that has the imprints of 4 dictators in the past. It is an army which has been accused of fomenting as well as training terror organizations. In fact, Ibrahim Musa, who's considered to be, one of the frontmen of Lashkar-e-Taiba, was the planner in the Pahalgam attack as well. And he was a paratrooper with the Pakistani army, is what we are learning at this point in time. Considering this disproportionate approach that Pakistan has towards India, do you think we need to pay them in kind?
Vinit, good evening. Thank you. Thank you for getting me back from my travel overseas and putting me back on the laptop to get connected to NewsX. The question is very, very timely, relevant, and I think every Indian must answer this question. There is no denying the fact it has to be given back in kind, and there is no question of giving any message. It has to be a massive retaliation. These are my personal views, with due respect to my very senior, respected, distinguished co-panelists. My only counterpoint, which I wish to make, haven't you given enough time in past 77 to 78 years to mend its ways? Has Pakistan ever mended its ways in over past 4 wars or the conflicts that we have had with it? Has Pakistan mended its ways over past 30, 40 years of counter-terrorism operation? Has Pakistan mended its ways despite the magnanimity and generosity that India has shown in past 78 years post its independence? Has Pakistan ever responded in kindness and with due reciprocity in keeping with the rule of law or the liberal rules-based international order ever? The answer is no, 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 no. If the answer is no, what is it that actually which India should do, having lost 26 lives? It is only 26 lives, innocent, unarmed civilians on a tourist spot. And more so, the place having witnessed peace, normalcy, tranquility, all kinds of economic activities, and for past, I would say, at least if not more, for past 5 years. I think the nation has to take a tough call, and enough is enough. India must give it back in kind in such measure so that Pakistan ceases to exist. When I make this statement, it means that the command, control, coordination, communication, intelligence, surveillance, and all the non-state actors, top leadership, middle leadership, and the low leadership, and all the headquarters, they have to be tackled. How you tackle is entirely the domain of the leadership. We have full faith in the leadership. He is taking count. There is a new front which has opened up in Bangladesh. There is a new front in Myanmar adjoining Manipur. And there is a front which is building up since 2017 across Siliguri corridor on Doklam. And now we have an extended standoff since 2020. That also has to be factored in. Now the revival of the proxy war in J&K. And not only that, that's not the end of it. The Indian Ocean region also is witnessing very intense strategic rivalry. All these things have to be factored in, and a calibrated counter measure has to be taken to make sure not only the terrorists who are responsible, who have sponsored the terrorists, and the people who are guiding them. I am very sure it is being controlled by the Military Operation Directorate of Pakistan. It is being regulated and controlled by the ISI. There is a desk in ISI which is called as K2, the Khalistan and Kashmir. If Kashmir goes quiet, Khalistan will prop up its ugly head. If Khalistan goes quiet, and Kashmir is going to pop up its head. Therefore, these are the issues that the 2611 is not a very long back incident which has happened. We just got Rana extradited with a great amount of effort. When is India going to learn from all the past mistakes? Yes, Indus River revocation or suspension is a long pending event. It has happened finally, and there has been a lot of dithering in past several years. Kare, na kare, finally we have pushed it out. Although the impact of this particular suspension is going to take time, the infrastructure building is going to take a lot of time, but making the flow of water, regulating it in a manner, you make it unpredictable. The farmers down there in Punjab or Pakistan are going to get into an unpredictable phase. They will face not only drought, but a famine there. So having said all this, let's take advantage of a couple of issues, Vinit. We need to be aware of the fact that, like you rightly said, they are moving around with a begging bowl. 25 bailout through IMF. No country, I don't think is there any country in the world which has got so many bailouts.
And let's not forget the FATF sword, sir.
Yes, I'm recommending you must prevail upon Donald Trump to stop this. We told this particular bailout of $27 billion. I think they sanctioned it in the month of September. They should stop it. They should stop this F-16 sanction which they have given for upkeep and maintenance. That is for 430. Maybe the Commodore and other panelists, they would be having actual figure. They should stop this. They should put Pakistan in FATF. They should also take other countermeasures so that Pakistan is isolated. OIC is another platform. We need to develop a rapport and diplomatic relationship. All the countries, 56, 57 countries, we need to isolate Pakistan. We need to build a rapport with Iran and Afghanistan and confront Pakistan from all corners and sides. Make sure that Pakistan doesn't exist.
Right. Let me also in fact rope in Air Vice Marshal Kapil Kak into this conversation. Sir, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sir, a lot has been said about this and that, but
Can you speak slightly louder, please?
so a lot has been said about Pakistan, a lot has been said about this and that. In your opinion, India has its own options, but the fact of the matter is that India has, for the better part of the last couple of decades, been extremely proficient in, telling the world what Pakistan's reality is. All that hard work is going to come handy now. There's not a single nation apart from China and Turkey that have come forth to ask for a neutral investigation. They have not even said that they will support Pakistan in a war against India. Does this already spell a formidable predictive victory for India, according to you?
Vineet, you put it very well, and I'm very grateful to my distinguished co-panelists for a range of views on what are the options before India at this point of time. Some very fine, nuanced set of options have been put forth on the NewsX table. Yes, of course, there is no doubt Pakistan, we have very successfully, through very nimble diplomacy, leveraging of our relative power asymmetry, which favors us, the larger profile of India in the global system. All these are to our advantage, undoubtedly. But if we understand the strategic history of the world, a weak neighbor who's recalcitrant can be troublesome. So we have to find various means by which we can ensure that actions of the kind that have taken place in Baisaran, without a shade of doubt, with the active connivance and planning by the deep state in Pakistan, undoubtedly, with a little bit of help from our own people in the state of J&K, which is of course very sad and unfortunate. But a weak Pakistan is no doubt a reality. We also need to keep in mind that two windows of Pakistan, both the economic window, which has been talked about by my co-panelists, and increasingly the security window, vis-a-vis Afghanistan, vis-a-vis its own capability and war fighting effectiveness and combat worthiness, those are under question. And here, I think we also need to keep in mind that Asim Munir and the statement he made about the two-nation theory, which was most unfortunate, is himself at this moment very, very weak, not only in the country, but sad, I mean, most shockingly, within the Pakistani army establishment. Now, this has not come out in the media, but there are reports to the effect that one of the rationales that the deep state has chosen to do this heinous act in Baisaran is because the army chief himself is seen as weak in the country and within his own army. I think wisdom is what is called for. Perhaps being the oldest person on this panel, I would suggest, of course, I'm not saying that we must not respond and we must not respond with impact. But we need to understand this is not responding to the anger of our domestic constituencies and the related political exigencies which arise in the leadership here. Now, we cannot make a mistake. I think one of my co-panelists rightly said security environment for even India, despite the power that we have vis-a-vis Pakistan, whether it is Bangladesh, the situation in Myanmar, the situation vis-a-vis China, there's still an occupation.
Right. So just one point. So if you look at wars, sir, even a country like Ukraine, which is supported by a majority of the European bloc, is finding itself running between post and pillar to fund this war. By that example, do you think Pakistan does not have an easy road ahead and should realize this before it ends up expending the little bit amount of money that it already has in its coffers?
Vineet, you're absolutely right, but I would strongly caution against any comparison with the war in Ukraine.
Or do you think the Muslim Ummah will?
That is not. I would, as a student of strategic affairs, I would not recommend a resort to a limited conventional war. I would much rather propose for the consideration not only of our viewers but also the panelists and yourself that we don't have to go to war because our people of India are angry. We have to look at it from strategic and political military perspective as to what can we do. What is the end state we want to achieve? End state is not war. I'm sorry, war will put us back. War, as it is, Pakistan is in the black hole. It has nowhere lower to go. India is resplendent in its power, in its capability. So therefore, as the famous Urdu expression which the Pakistanis will well be thinking of doing, hum to doobenge sanam, tum to bhi le doobe. Otherwise, the alternative is a massive, large-scale war. Our strategic, hard, grand strategy is war prevention. It is not prosecution of war. It is war prevention so that the socio-economic, technological development of India can remain unhindered and India can attain its rightful place as perhaps the second largest economy in the world in 2050 or around. We will perhaps be in GDP terms, be even a dash ahead of the United States.